we weren't taught that. We weren't privy to that because most people don't even know Black and brown people couldn't even buy whole life insurance until about 1980. We were kept from it. My passion came with, just like you said earlier, when do we stop using it as an excuse and doing something about it? Like, yeah, we know we underserved. We know that we're getting the shorter end of the stick and it's going to be harder. But does that mean don't try?
What's up? What's up? This is the Mentally Shredded Podcast. I am your host, Christopher Whedon, and today's special guest is Timothy Stone, the legacy protector himself. What's going on, Tim?
What's going on, Chris? How you doing?
Man, I'm living the dream. This weather, the sun is shining right now, but it's been raining on and off. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's been dreary yesterday, but we found some time to still kind of, me and Mrs. to jump out, grab some eats at the food trucks they did here in the little country we live in.
Yep. No, I get it. Well, we connected through my cousin Levi. I know you and Levi served in the military together, and so it was great to connect with you, learn a little bit about your story, and I thought it was fitting to have you on the podcast so you could share your story, share what you're doing and how you are going about handling your business and truly impacting lives, families around you. And so I just want to make sure I give you your flowers right now while you're here and just let the people know what you have going on. Is that cool?
Yes, sir. Oh, definitely. I appreciate you for having me on. Definitely honored, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man, let's talk about where you from, Tim. I know you served in the military. We'll talk a little bit about that as well, but where are you from and what was your upbringing like that led you to go into the military?
So I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, born and raised back when Cincinnati wasn't as nice as it is now. Before the Reds started buying up everything. So had a mixed upbringing because born in, the projects or whatever you call it, rough area. Never felt too rough to me because that's kind of how I was used to things. That's my dad's side. And then on the other hand, I had my mother's side, grandmother, grandfather, doing well, working for Duke, stayed out in the suburbs. So my childhood was pretty much split, So had the middle mix of the rough and tough, doing a whole bunch of stuff probably shouldn't have been doing or shouldn't have been exposed to. And then I had the sunny, pretty side, But I have a great family, so even the rough and tough side, an occasional AK in the couch was normal, but it's still all. Yeah.
So I love the fact that you got to see both worlds, right? I know for me, I got to see both worlds, maybe not on the same scale or level. So I was raised by my grandparents. They moved us to Texas, and that's where my granddad eventually retired from the military, right?
Yeah.
But we would go visit our family in the Carolinas or Maryland and so forth. And we learned pretty quickly, like we were being raised completely different than some of our cousins in these environments, right? And so, but it was beautiful to be able to see the difference, to still be able to be educated and handle ourselves in a manner to where we really can navigate any area and lane that we see ourselves in. So, bro, there's power in that. So I love the fact that that was your experience because we don't choose our families, right?
Right. I mean, they crazy, but I would choose them all over again because it's like when you have that grit, some things people will never see and they only see it on TV. They would. Some of the situations that we've seen is, especially me personally, probably would have, people would have tucked their tails real quick and broke down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's made me, and it's like you and your experiences, it makes us who we are, especially for black educated men in America. You know,
Mhm.
like we need both sides.
Yeah, it's funny because for a long time I was trying to push down my blackness. I think that's probably the best way I could put that. Just because I didn't know how to be all of me at that time. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Now I'm 34 and I'm like I have a much better understanding of like, look, I'm just gonna be me and I'm gonna like what I like, and if you don't like it, that's on you.
Right. Yeah.
But as a kid, you don't know. You're just like, okay, this is acceptable. So I'm going to just behave in this manner. I'll communicate in this manner and vice versa. But when you're raised in an environment where we all spoke like I speak right now, right? Like everyone
Yeah.
in my house. So I
Yeah.
didn't once I would go visit family, they spoke a little different. But so
Right.
I would pick up that
Gotta put some
slang and
hood
what
on
have you.
there.
Exactly. And so you know, okay, I could talk like this around my family. I could talk like this around, this group of friends, but then this group of friends,
Yeah.
we're not gonna communicate like that at all.
And it's funny because a lot of people knowing to turn it on and off is survival for us. Like people like us, and people don't realize that because, especially like some of the areas and hoods that I would be around at a younger age with family, cousin, friends, or whatever. You speak a certain way, as you know, or as we call it, they say proper, or they say you're talking like a white person, or whatever the case may be. But of course, we know it as talking proper. But you literally have to switch it up because it could be your livelihood. Where you
Absolutely.
looked at like the feds, or you just by the way that you speak and carry yourself could be, bottle or a slug to the head.
Mm,
Crazy.
mm,
So it's
yeah,
funny that you said that too, though, because I just kind of feel like that's how we connect even more because being raised on both sides, seeing the good side and then the quote unquote not good side. But for me, it's some of my fondest memories is still in the hood. But gang, drug, violence and things like that. But I think I had a little bit more empowerment younger, just because I kind of was the black sheep already, coming from a respected hood family, but just different in my own, you know, like retrospect. I was already seeing that I can play the line and I'm gonna be me, but
yeah,
I can still get down. So
yeah.
for the longest, I was uh, Urkel. I had the big glasses, braces. I love education. I love learning. I love diversity and things like that. And I would get, of course, like just like you, get picked on, dog bad, But I had a strong family that, even though they were still, you know, coming from that kind of trenches area and stuff like that, they never told me I couldn't be this way. They promoted my, you know, differences. So even when those times of coming up and getting picked on and things like that, it was quick that I got empowered from my family and then kind of within myself at a young age, which is kind of rare. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I felt good being different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I'm different, but you can still catch these hands. I, I had to knock a couple people out, and it was like once they got dropped, it was then as their respect came. So they was like,
That's fair.
he gonna get straight A's, but we ain't about to test him. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Did you find that you were being protected as well from like cousins? I remember coming to Carolina and my older cousins, which I thought they were much older than me at the time, but because they were bigger, but they
yeah.
weren't. We were about a year apart, if that. You know what I'm saying?
What y'all?
But they always treated me like the little cousin,
Mm,
like we're gonna make sure he's good, we're gonna
yeah,
protect him, and so that was kind of how I remember, as a youth being brought up, like just
yeah,
always knowing like at the end of the day, like I can be in any environment, my
I
family's
did
gonna
that.
make sure I'm good.
Yeah. So I definitely had that love, and then to be honest, who my family is associated. I won't say too many like names and stuff. But I my name already came with a certain level of respect. You know, if that makes sense. So
Fair.
I had that layer already, and then we had there's a lot of connections. So I had the cousins and everywhere. If I pop a name or they most time already knew who I was, the connection would finally be made. Aha! And I've had some moments where they didn't know at first, and then found out, and then backed up and things like that. But it's funny because when you're from like an upbringing like that, we wear that as a badge, even though it's kind of twisted. But it's our safe place from
Mm-mm.
this dangerous space, But I would still get tested because when you part of a family like that or those environments, even though these people, your security and stuff like they had your back, you still have to prove yourself. You can't be soft, So
Yeah.
I would get beat up, it's tested, I call it sparring, but with my uncles, and they 7, 8 years older and just come out of nowhere and just and soon, and if like you fold, it continues. But I already had it in me that fight, and crowd one time. After that, nice right back at these older fighting, getting down with the older cats. Then from then on,
Mm.
it's like you gain your rite of passage, and then you're able to walk the block. You're able to, nobody's messing with you. Your own family, it's a respect thing,
Yeah.
So to me, it's normal, you know.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, trust me, I definitely remember getting picked on, getting beat up by older cousins. And so it was different when you're in school getting bullied, right?
Right,
Because people would think, okay, well, like we could probably bully him at how he acts and how he, carries himself,
right,
but no one actually truly knows, right? Like there's always a little something inside you. I knew there was in me that I was like, I'm
right.
not letting that side out.
Yeah,
like I'm scared. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a
yes.
lot of pent up aggression inside. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, because you got those people like us that it's fight or flight, and
Fight or flight.
it's once and from being who we are, black men in America, from the areas we were raised in, that flight could be a death sentence, so to speak. And sooner or later, we just realize, what I think a lot of these kids nowadays are missing is that, hey, you're gonna take some L's, but you gotta have that courage to face your fears. I think the first
Mhm.
time I got in a fight, I wasn't scared. Yeah, and it was bigger. But then you find that inside you, and you see, oh, I didn't drop that big mug.
Yeah, yeah,
It builds up, but not that it turns you into, oh, now I'm about to just fight everybody. We are just pretty much defending ourselves. We don't. We got some of us that have that tough exterior people, but it's like it's not the bullet. You know what I'm saying?
mm, yeah,
So
yeah.
it it's one of those tricky things. I feel like a lot of people, unless they're in the shoes, or actually took time to really realize the like what you were talking about, the mentality and what it does to us. You know, that time year after year and growth, the good and the
Yeah.
bad.
Looking for a consulting firm that can help your organization achieve its full potential? Look no further than Deck Leadership. With over 25 years of experience in NASCAR, founders Mike Metcalf and Sean Pete know what it takes to lead high performing teams. They can help you uncover opportunities for diversity, efficiency, culture, and kindness, all while inspiring human brilliance. And if they can lead pit crews that can change 4 tires and fill 18 gallons of gas in less than 12 seconds, Just imagine what they can do for your organization. Visit www.deckleadership.com for more information. Yeah, yeah. I still remember the first time I had to defend my brother, right? And this was our first experience in public school. We went to private school. And so my first experience in public school, and I remember my brother was getting choked, and I ran up, pushed the kid, and just before I knew it, just popped right in the mouth. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh snap.
Yeah.
But as soon as that happened, the principal had just walked out.
Mm,
So there was no like I just remember being like sitting in the office like, yo, like, could I have responded differently? You know what I mean? Like, you start asking yourself, it's like, nah, you responded exactly like
yeah.
one, nobody messes with your family, right? Like,
Right.
that is something that every family's taught. It don't
That's how
matter
we
what you look
raised,
like.
especially in the black community. Like,
Yes. And so for me, I was like, it was good for me to get to take that licking early because I already knew I wasn't a fighter. I didn't want to fight nobody. But I also knew inside me, I knew how to protect after that
right.
moment. So like just don't test it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just I'm not gonna put myself in a
I'm not a
situation
killer, but
where
don't push me.
you know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
it was good to have that experience, but then to also take control and take power over that and say,
Right.
yes, I know I can respond. I know I can react. But as I get older, I need to be more mindful with my granddad used to always say, Chris, as you become a man, you put away childish things. Like with wisdom,
Yeah.
comes more responsibility. And
Right.
so I even today, we choose our battles. At 34 years old, no, I'm not fighting someone. But, you know, I am mindful of what battles am I facing today and then how do I respond to those battles? I think this is a perfect segue into your transition going into the military, right? Like, what was that experience like? Because I obviously I grew up on base. I grew up literally right outside, like our home is right outside the base. And so we were
Right.
at the commissary, we were at the BX, we were at the youth center almost every day, it felt like. And so military upbringing was me. I saw every walk of life. I saw so much diversity. So when you grow up in an environment like that, you believe that this is the world. Like this is the America that I'm taught, and raised in.
You would wish.
But what you so I just want to know, like, how was that transition going into the military for you, and then what was your experience while you served?
Yeah. So my transition into that was kind of backpedal a little bit. So, like I said, I've come from Cincinnati where, it can be rough into different things for survival or what I felt like I was supposed to do. But I've been a straight A student since the third grade. Very well academically, always in sports, things like that. During high school, I actually moved down to Texas for like a year to go to high school at May Creek in Katy, and then had to move back because I was at home with my cousins and aunt, all girls. I was getting a little wild. It was like, no, take your butt back to Cincinnati. But I was like, yeah, I can't. But um, the funny thing is, sometimes, as my mom would say, I could be too smart for my own good because I feel like when we have both sides mastered, we can actually manipulate situations a lot better. And
Mm,
in my situations, I started to school and stuff was so easy. I pretty much had graduated before, my senior year, but I just want to still play sports, so I had to take two classes. So in that time, I'm still varsity, I'm still working, but that inner connections to the other side, I'm starting to be in the streets more. So I'm hanging in the streets. I'm, getting involved in, more things that I shouldn't have. So still straight A's, already been pretty much graduated, scholarships that came and things like that. But it's like the streets was calling, whatever reason.
mm.
So I'm literally starting to get in a little bit of somewhat trouble. I'm like gambling, used to shoot dice and stuff like that. In certain situations where gunplay is involved, in the midst of, you know, selling products I shouldn't have been trying to, feed in there, just because it's like, oh, this is the mirror, and this is what you kind of used to. You just kind of, when that life is generations, you kind of almost just still merge into it because that thinking process. So I'm on both sides. So it's like how my family is. If you're gonna do something, be the best at it. So it's like, all right, I'm boss. I'm manipulating. I'm hustling, but I'm like still not touching certain things because of how I know how to switch things up. So it kind of gets to a point where my mom noticed that, because I had moved out pretty much like my senior year, just kind of bumping heads, me being stupid and stubborn. But I've always been able to take care of myself. So I moved into close to one of the worst neighborhoods in Cincinnati, staying with my boy. Well, I still finished in high school, but it gets real dangerous. And I'm not seeing it as much as like the people who love me most. They can see that I'm about to fall into that Cincinnati trap and get in some type of trouble. And me, I didn't see it as such. But it came a time where I kind of moved back in temporarily because my good best friend at the time, Anthony Sanders, is my guy coming back. He's been deployed for years, but he was talking military. He's like third generation military. Dad's officer, grandfather, all retired. So while everybody else is stressing about college and what they do, he's like, oh, I ain't doing that paper. I'm going to the Air Force. So I'm sitting right by him all year. So I'm like, no, we don't care. Like, and me, I wasn't stressed because I had about 6 scholarships and stuff. So I really wasn't stressed about anything. But right when that kind of the streets thing started going on, I started to see myself get bored. Kind of part of that black sheep. Everybody's going to college. I've been programmed from a black mother that emphasized education, college, college, college. I'm built different, so I'm like, I started analyzing it. Like, I'm gonna go to college. Am I really for 4, 8 years? Because at first, I always wanted to be a veterinarian. That's the funny part. So I'm like, hmm. So then one day, my mom just busted in my room after me being out like late, and I came in. She already probably wanted to take my head off, but she was like, "You ever think about the Coast Guard?" And I just like woke up like what? And she was like, "The Coast Guard," because I guess one of a recruiter or something that just came by or something. Like my mom's know, so she's like right here with my BS, and she was like, you need to either go ahead and pick one of these colleges, or you need to go to the military. And I was just at that point, I literally was like, man, if I was gonna go anywhere, I'd go to the Air Force because my best friend he kept talking about it, so it started more and more interesting, and that's literally how I went to a recruiter, went to my guy's same recruiter, and I fell in love with the idea of doing something and getting away because I knew this city was starting to get a hold of me, and I knew that I was always meant to be somewhere else doing different things and with different people because, like I said,
Yeah.
I love the diversity. So that's literally how I got into the Air Force and went in training to be special ops. So
Okay.
physically, I passed search for special ops, and my IQ very high. These eyes I got here, no depth perception. Oh god, the 3 special ops I wanted so bad. They was like, nope. They were like, you could be a seer. I'm like, I ain't about to be no advanced ranger, like but the funny thing is that that time, my mindset at that time was even in that short period of time, all the things I had went through and seen on the rougher side, it made me even more patriotic, or like they say, bleed blue, because I had seen some friends pass. I literally, one of my cousins got shot plain sight. They like talked to him right before I left to tell him he needs to get off the streets. He died when I was in basic training. And my mindset clicked. It was like, yo, if I'm gonna die young, if I'm gonna die for something, I'd rather die for something that is honorable. So I was blue. Like it helped in my career because I was just top. I was dorm chief. I led the whole 52 men, and you know they call it barracks army. And then every level, I was awards and things like that because I'm competitive too. So it
Mhm.
just helped. And military was easy. It felt normal because I'm like drill sergeant yelling at you and stuff. These other dudes, they cracking and I'm like, my mom yells louder than that. Like, but I had a strong mentality, so that was easy and it's normal. It's still in me to this day. I still love that piece of that brotherhood and organization. You know, it's still in me. But that's pretty much how I got into it. And, I faced a whole bunch. I don't want to talk your head
Yeah.
about it, but
Yeah.
it's different things that people that don't know, like still the discrimination that we have to go through while serving our country, willing to die
Mhm.
just like these other people, but things that are made harder for us while serving. And then just how apparently we Superman because when we got on, our glasses and, you know, ties, our normal wear, we get treated just still like, black folks in America. And as soon as we put on that
Mhm.
uniform, apparently our color goes away, and
Yeah.
more than not,
Mhm. Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
had to deal with
Man,
a lot.
I'm glad you touched on that because we don't often hear that. I'm fortunate again to grow up in an environment where I did hear a lot of that. I did hear the stories, but my family didn't focus on that, right? It was still in our control to become who we wanted to be. We
Right,
weren't going to allow anyone to have power over us as a family that was very heavily into our faith, right? Very involved in our church, right? Like it was God first, then family, right? And so you grew up thinking and knowing, you had this knowing inside of you that you could accomplish whatever you set your mind to. You were going to have to persevere. You were going to have to put some work in. No one was going to hand you anything. And you cannot come home and use your skin color as an
that's excuse.
excuse,
Yeah, I love
right?
it. Yep,
And so, and don't get me wrong, I understand. You know what I'm saying? Like as a black man, I understand the difficulty and the pressure that we face as a people, as a community, and it has made me today really focus on bringing it all together, right? Because I did grow up in rural West Texas. I did grow up in a military family, and my grandmother owned the most successful Black owned business where I came from. You know what I'm saying? There is a lot of pride. There's a lot of like, and so when you grow up in that type of environment, there was a knowing. I remember in fifth grade walking in my grandparents' room saying, "Hey, don't worry about money. We're gonna be good." And they're just like,
I love it.
wrong with this kid? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
right,
but I felt, and even to this day, bro, like with everything that I'm doing and building and creating, the people I'm connecting with, as like yourself, right? Like I might not see everything right now, right? Like,
right,
and it may feel, and I'm speaking to somebody because I'm speaking to myself, but I'm speaking to somebody else. It may feel like we're being buried in this moment because you know deep down that you're called for more. You know deep down that you're
right,
adding value to people, and it feels like you can't take anymore. You're struggling to pay your bills. You're struggling to find a way out, and you have to hold on to that hope. You have to have faith just long enough to realize, with a shift in perspective, to realize that you are not being buried, you're being planted. And at the proper time, you will reap a harvest, right? At the proper time,
hmm,
with enough perseverance, with enough faith, right? It's going to shift. but most people give up right before that shift happens,
exactly.
right? And
Yeah,
so I think the best thing that we can do as people who we are diverse, you and me, right? Like there's a lot of people that listen to my podcast. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic,
right.
Asian, I don't purple, green, yellow, I don't
I
care
love
what
you.
you
You
are.
you good people
You
out
know what I'm saying?
there.
We all I want to do is build healthy communities, right?
Right.
And let people know regardless of where you come from in your circumstances, you can have whatever it is that you want. Will it take some work? Yes. And that's why I loved connecting with you, because when I introduced you, I said the legacy protector. Let's dive into that real quick, because I know we're a little over time, but I don't even care right now because I want to add as much
Cool.
value to our community as possible. So let's talk about how you transitioned from, you leave the military, right? And then you start your own business. Let's talk about what you do today.
So just right in the middle of that, I go from military to medical lab technician, medical lab
Okay.
scientist. That's what I did in the military. So I did that for 5 years in the military, and then I did 5 years after traveling. So then, just this past year, that's when, for like the past year, it's like when you know it inside you that is a shift needs to happen, and I felt like I had kind of reached the epitome of what I could do with that career field. And then what most of my closest people know is that I have a son, and when he was born, me and his mother, separated our differences, but pretty much vowed to her and him that I'm going to make sure that we're good. So I literally hit the road traveling in medical lab science to do extra for her so she can finish school, even though we were together, make sure she didn't have to work too much to, make sure our child was, good and a great position. And that pretty much started to wear on me after time because, like, for the first year he was born, I only saw him 4 times. But
Okay.
dad was on the road, still trying to make all this extra money for everybody, deal with my own stuff, and then like how your profession, that mental space. I ain't
Yeah.
gonna get too much in that because I feel like that might be for another time. But I ended up kind of thinking on it, praying on it for some months just last year, and I literally just updated my resume, and I say, God dropped it in my lap. I was looking for. I'm military. I'm smart. I'm well versed. I can do anything. So I just
Mhm.
need something where I can. Hey, all these people making all this money working from home, and so I was like, it came to me, and it was close to my son, so I could see him a lot more, and then the opportunities were limitless, and then the biggest part that I came to instantly get passionate about was the protection portion of you know this business. So that's where the legacy protector started, and it wasn't just a smooth start. Like, I think when I started with leaving the hospital and stuff, and my own crap that I had to get back together, I had $100 in my pocket. I had $100 in my bank account when I
Mhm.
started, 100% commission job. So it was
Yeah.
like my lady was like, sure. But at the same time, she, God sent her too, because she was scared, but she still had all faith in the man I am. And she was like, hey, you got 3 months to show me something. I got your back. I need to see something. For me, I already had it in me, but even that extra, you know, I was like, oh, say less. A couple
Mhm.
weeks, stuff, everything was turning around. And I used what we went through, like what I've seen in my upbringing, from seeing so many funerals, people on T-shirts trying to raise money for something. that they could have simply fixed by just handling their affairs earlier on with maybe half the money that they probably spend weekly on other frivolous things like lottery tickets, cigarette, like weed, liquor, whatever. We know what people blow their money on, and to me, it's like I'm not judging you for whatever your vice is because we all have our vices, escapes, whatever the case may be. You know, it could be ho hos and Snickers that you
Mhm.
blowing all the week on, but that literally that $20 a week could have been put to a nice size policy to protect your family's your family from when that happens to you. And I don't say if because death is the only thing we guarantee in this life. We not guaranteed. We pay all this car insurance. We not guaranteed. You could never get in a car accident, but people are paying that so easily
Yeah.
because it's law. So somebody has to make sure that you take care of your business and insure your assets. You know, but when it comes to life insurance, I started to see and learn so much more than the company standards and like your normal agent because I took a passion from seeing my community be underserved and a bit ignorant just because of the culture. A lot of us weren't raised talking about life insurance because a lot of our community don't keep in mind uh, asset protection because a lot of times we're in debt for our whole life. Like when I said to myself, generational wealth and learn like this is how these families are staying far ahead of us with just making that decision and then it growing and them using it to monopolize on their assets, their properties, investments. Because a lot of people don't realize with these policies, especially a permanent policy, I gotta emphasize that they
Mhm.
build up cash value, they build up equity that you can then use. We weren't taught that. We weren't privy to that because most people don't even know black and brown people couldn't even buy whole life insurance until about 1980. So, we're kept from it, So, it's part of, we know the story. My
Right.
passion came with, just like you said earlier, when do we stop using it as an excuse and doing something about it? Like, yeah, we know we underserved. We know that we're getting the shorter end of the stick and it's going to be harder. But does that mean don't try? Does that mean
Mhm.
not try to be better? Like, is we all, especially now, we're in a technical age where we all have access to the information. Now it's about digging. It's either it's one thing about being ignorant, but then if you staying in that space of I've already done this, so this how I'm gonna do it, or I ain't got time for that. That's our generational curse, and
Yeah.
and leaving debt. That's the biggest thing. So that's
Yeah.
where I probably went all around with that, but that's where
Yeah.
my passion comes from, and I tailor. I serve everybody. Like I just, of course, I just had an in home. Just before our podcast,
Mhm.
out in the sticks with
Mhm.
the dopest, older white guy that wanted to make sure his family was, secure, and he let this young black man make that happen for him. I see the beauty still, but I am putting an extra touch reaching my people because I know it's going to take one of us, take it back, that can play both sides to pretty much translate this down for them.
Yeah.
So I gotta come, which I've had. I went to the hood, sat in the trap house to break this down in our language. So then it clicks. Yo, that's worth way more to me, and that fulfills me so much more than just easy policies or somebody that just came to me. some of the ones I had to
Yeah.
fight for to break it down. Like, do you realize what this would do for your family? And then once I get that aha moment from them, yo, that's worth 1,000 setups to me. You know,
Mm, mm.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I'm passionate with.
Man, and I love this is what I get passionate about. I love having conversations where people are truly making a difference in other people's lives, but not only are you building up your family and creating a new generation of legacy, a new like we're breaking generational curses, right? But you're reaching back and
Yep.
helping other families move forward as well, right? To
Yes.
and as long as we continue to remember why we are doing it, it's going to keep our heart pure as we build, as we grow.
Yes.
And because we know what's in our heart will flow, it's going to flow out of our mouth. And so I stress the importance of keeping our heart pure as we build businesses, as we build families, as we create this legacy, because that is what's going to determine what the people we are leading will be
Right.
doing once we're gone, right?
Exactly.
Long after we're gone. And so I love, man, just again,
Yeah. And that
man.
success piece, that's a big part for me because, like, even my background, I've done pretty well,
Mhm.
and but it stems from that why I'm able to be as successful as I am, and I've only scratched the surface. Like, my main goal is to, yeah, we know I want to take care of my family. I want my family to, move on up, and all that
Yeah.
good stuff. But in my heart, it's not just monetary, it's the tools. I want to be able to have a plethora so I can pass it on to the generations. Because it's not about just my family. Because even now, I'm not, where I'm going to be in 5 years. Because I'm already seeing where I'm going to be. But I'm already doing work in the community more because not only am I trying to help save more of us by just getting that bit of protection that can make the difference between your family struggling and continue on that generational curse and debt. But I've promoted and hired on multiple, black and brown people because this industry, be honest, you don't see a whole lot of us. And my idea is that by the work and connection I make, and even like the learning and bumps that I have to take in this business, in my business, I'm going to be able to pass it around and down and fight for us. So if it's one
Yeah.
of us, because I'm one man, I
Hmm.
can get to everybody at a certain time, because
Hmm.
again, we're dealing with life. By the time
Yeah.
I reach all the people I want to, because my goal is to have 1 million families protected.
Yeah.
That's one of my high goals. I
Yeah. I
know
love
that
it.
it's going to take more of us. So, and that's of course it's part of the business too. But I go out extra. Like, I've given my other laptop to help other people that were interested in doing what I'm doing, just so they can study to be able to see if this is a fit for them.
Hmm.
You know, allocated certain funds that most people or agents don't do for my
Yeah.
people to give them that extra, you know, bump up or chance at being successful. You know,
Hmm.
because I'm
Hmm.
like, I went through the bumps within my quick, they would say quick success as me as an agent. I
Yeah.
went through a lot of bumps with that success, so I'm built for it. Now I have it to pass on where it's a lot smoother for my people that's
Hmm.
coming in. So now I'm trying to hand it to you like, all right, now
Yeah.
let's go save some more lives.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's on both parts. I'm trying to teach people how to fish as well. I'm trying to teach
Hmm.
our people how to fish and also protect their family. So it's both sides on that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, we could have you already know we could talk for hours.
We
Um as we wrap up, man, if thank y'all for tuning in and for being a part of this conversation. Where can we follow you? Where can we support you and what you're doing, Tim?
Oh, you can definitely follow me on Instagram, legacy underscore protector. I'm on Facebook as well as this Timothy Stone. I think I might be Legacy Protector as well on there. I think I started to make sure I switched up. Even on TikTok, part of that my joy of entertainment. You can follow me on TikTok, Legacy Protector as well. And you can Google Timothy Stone with American Income Life, Graham Agency. I love when people Google it because I've had to kind of throw that card out a couple times where they're like, oh no, you might be a scam. Hey, Google it. They come back, man, you got it. All right, now you ready for business?
No, that's facts. That's facts. No, I love it. I love it. Thank you again for just taking this time to be on this podcast because truly my goal is to share amazing stories, to create healthier communities, and really to help people bridge the gap from where they are to where they want to be. And I believe we were able to do that with this conversation
I
today,
thank
man.
you,
So,
man, because I'm like,
yeah.
this is dope. You know, you got time in my schedule. I'm like, no, you got all my time. Like for something like this, like what you're doing with mentally shredded and stuff, this is the stuff that I back 1,000%. So I was honored for you to have me on here, and I'm down with all the other endeavors that you got going on. I'm watching. So
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. We want to thank our sponsors for making this possible. Thank you to all of our subscribers, to our listeners, our viewers, everyone that has just truly made this season just a blessing. It's been truly amazing to be able to share amazing stories with you all. Again, I normally end with an affirmation, so we're going to hit that real quick and then we're going to be out. So, I'm going to say I am, and then you just finish that affirmation for yourself and then we'll close. Is that cool?
yes, sir.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. I am.
Powerful.
Sir. Yes, sir. I love it. Thank y'all again for tuning in. Until next time. Love y'all. Peace.